Don't suppose you ran into old Pat, did you, Billy?
Can't say I did.
Directed by Sam Peckinpah and co-directed by Paul, this 1973 revisionist Western unfolds a gritty, complex tale shaped by Rudy Wurlitzer's screenplay. The film features an impressive cast including James Coburn, Chris Christopherson, Richard Jekyll, Katie Jurado, Jill Wills, Barry Sullivan, Jason Robards, Slim Pickens, and Bob Dylan, whose performances add layers of intensity and authenticity. The narrative explores the turbulent relationship between Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, blending historical elements with a raw, unfiltered portrayal of their lives. This uncensored version is rare, having surfaced through an unusual circumstance. Its copy was stolen, which ironically preserved the film in its original, uncut form. The stolen print reveals scenes and nuances often omitted from other releases, offering a deeper insight into the characters' motivations and the harsh realities of the Old West. The film's atmosphere is charged with tension, enhanced by a haunting soundtrack and striking cinematography, capturing the era's brutality and fleeting moments of humanity. This version invites viewers to experience a more honest and vivid retelling, free from the constraints that typically sanitize such stories.
I do believe I'm gonna have to see that bet.
The storyline follows Sheriff Pat Garrett, played by James Coburn, who is ordered by Governor Wallace, portrayed by Jason Robards, to capture the outlaw Billy the Kid, brought to life by Chris Christopherson. Despite their deep friendship, Garrett is bound by his duty to the law and must pursue his old friend. The cattle businessman is determined to see Billy caught, making the chase even more urgent. Garrett and his deputies face great difficulty capturing Billy due to his sharp wit and cunning nature. Along the way, Billy gains the help of Alias, a mysterious knife-wielding stranger played by Bob Dylan, adding an unpredictable element to the pursuit. The tension between loyalty and law, friendship and duty, drives the narrative as Garrett struggles with his role and the relentless pursuit of Billy the Kid. The characters' complex relationships and the dangerous cat and mouse game create a gripping tale of the Old West.
These four rode in here this morning.
Peck and Paul saw the 1973 film as their opportunity to make a definitive statement on the Western genre, aiming to complete the revision of the genre they had begun with earlier works like Ride the High Country in 1962 and The Wild Bunch in 1969. Their vision was to challenge traditional Western tropes by presenting a more nuanced and realistic portrayal of the characters and the environment. This film was not just another Western, it was intended to be a thoughtful reflection on change, loyalty, and the fading of an era. The director's approach emphasized complex relationships and moral ambiguity rather than clear-cut heroes and villains. Through this lens, the story of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid became a meditation on the inevitable passing of time and the cost of progress. The film's style and storytelling sought to capture both the grandeur and the grit of the Old West, blending action with introspection and making it stand apart from earlier, more romanticized westerns. This vision shaped every aspect of the movie, from its pacing to its character development, aiming to leave a lasting impact on the genre and its audience. Originally, the screenplay for the movie was written by Rudy Wurlitzer, who had a history of collaboration with Monte Hellman, the director initially slated to helm the project. Their previous work together on the 1971 film Two-Lane Blacktop had earned acclaim, setting expectations for this new venture. However, as the project evolved, Peck and Paul became involved, prompting Wurlitzer to revise the script significantly. This rewrite introduced a more cynical tone to the narrative, shifting the story's perspective and adding depth to the characters' motivations and actions. Notably, Wurlitzer incorporated a prologue and an epilogue that framed the story with the assassination of Pat Garrett himself. This framing device highlighted the irony and tragedy surrounding Garrett, who was killed by the very men who had once hired him to kill Billy the Kid. The screenplay thus not only explored the famous outlaw's life and death, but also delved into the darker consequences of betrayal and shifting loyalties in the Old West. This approach gave the film a layered complexity, blending historical events with a somber reflection on the nature of justice and revenge.
People don't talk to me. They say you are getting to be too much of a...
In the original script of the 1973 film, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid do not meet on screen until the very end, creating a slow build of tension between the two legendary figures. The director initially thought about casting Bo Hopkins in the role of Billy the Kid, but eventually chose Chris Christopherson, a well-known country music star, for the part. Christopherson was 36 years old during filming, which caused some issues with critics because he was portraying the outlaw at the age of 21. This age difference made it harder for audiences to fully accept him as the young, rebellious Billy the Kid. Despite this, the casting choice added a unique flavor to the character, blending Christopherson's rugged charm with the outlaw's infamous persona. The film's decision to delay the meeting of Garrett and Billy until the final moments heightened the dramatic impact and focused more on their individual journeys rather than their direct conflict. This approach gave the story a slower, more contemplative pace, emphasizing the changing times and the fading legend of the Wild West. Christopherson's band had a unique involvement in the movie by placing small roles in the film, with his wife Rita Coolidge taking on a more noticeable part that viewers could easily recognize. Beyond just the band's presence, Christopherson brought Bob Dylan into the project. Dylan was originally hired to write the title song for the film, but his contribution grew much larger. He ended up writing the entire score, and even acted in the movie, playing a character named Elias. Interestingly, the film's director Peck and actor Paul were unfamiliar with Dylan before this project. However, after hearing Dylan perform the proposed title song, they were so impressed and moved by his music that they decided to hire him immediately. This decision added a special layer to the film's production, blending Dylan's musical talent with the storytelling on screen, and enriching the movie's atmosphere in a way that went beyond the initial plan. Among the songs written by Bob Dylan for the 1973 film, Knocking on Heaven's Door stands out as a timeless piece that has become iconic beyond the movie itself. The soundtrack is often praised as a highlight of the film, drawing viewers in with its haunting and memorable melodies. This music complements the story and atmosphere perfectly, enhancing the emotional depth and tension of the scenes. While the soundtrack is a major reason many people watch the movie, it is important to recognize that the film itself holds significant value. The storytelling, characters, and cinematic style all contribute to making it a great movie in its own right. The music and the film work together, creating an experience that lingers with the audience long after the credits roll. The soundtrack's quality and Dylan's songwriting add a layer of artistry that elevates the entire production, making it a must-see for fans of both film and music.
How does it feel?
The cinematography in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid is excellent, capturing the vast, rugged landscapes and the tense, intimate moments with equal skill. The acting is superb, bringing depth and realism to the characters, making the story feel alive and compelling. The music adds a powerful layer, elevating the entire film and giving it a unique atmosphere that lingers long after the scenes end. The director made a deliberate choice to cast many legendary Western character actors in the supporting roles. This includes familiar faces like Chill Wills, Katie Girardeau, Jack Elam, Slim Pickens, Barry Sullivan, Doug Taylor, R.G. Armstrong, Paul Fix, and Jason Robards. Their presence adds authenticity and richness to the film, as viewers can recognize these seasoned actors who have become icons of the Western genre. This careful casting creates a strong ensemble that supports the main story and helps to build a world that feels true to the time and place. The combination of striking visuals, powerful performances, and evocative music makes the film stand out as a memorable piece in Western cinema.
Figured you for the law either.
Amidst the chaos of a bustling backstage, a dedicated crew is tirelessly engaged in their craft. The dimly lit environment is illuminated by the warm glow of overhead lights, casting long shadows that dance on the walls adorned with colorful posters of past performances. Various crew members, clad in black attire for efficiency, are seen coordinating and adjusting intricate set pieces, while others are focused on intricate lighting rigs that cascade beams of soft hues across the stage. The atmosphere is charged with a palpable energy, a blend of anticipation and excitement as they prepare for the upcoming show. Cables wind along the floor, and the air is infused with a subtle scent of fresh paint and sawdust, a testament to the ongoing preparations. The overall mood is one of camaraderie and dedication, as each individual's efforts contribute to the larger vision of the production.
One at Four Horses and down Seven Rivers.
MGM's refusal to provide a camera mechanic on call during the filming of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid in Durango led to significant issues. Without immediate technical support, the crew was unaware of camera problems until the footage was sent back to Los Angeles for processing. This delay in discovering the malfunction caused the production to fall behind schedule by several days and pushed the budget over by several $100,000. Eventually, MGM did send a camera mechanic to the set to address the issues, but by that time, the damage to the timeline and budget had already been done, complicating the filming process and adding strain to the production. During the production of the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, the president of MGM raised objections to several scenes, believing they were unnecessary for the film's plot. Despite this, Peck, Paul, and their crew were determined to include these sequences. To ensure these scenes were completed, they worked secretly during weekends and lunch hours, away from the usual shooting schedule. This effort allowed them to preserve parts of the film that might have otherwise been removed, contributing to the final version that audiences eventually saw. Their dedication highlights the challenges filmmakers often face when balancing creative vision with studio demands, and it reveals the lengths to which artists will go to protect their work. MGM's president grew increasingly frustrated with the filming of the 1973 movie Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, sending telegrams to the set to complain about the director's use of numerous camera setups and the lengthy time taken to shoot certain scenes. This tension created a charged atmosphere on set, which many described as a battleground. The director, Sam Peckinpah, often clashed with the cinematographer John Cochran and the producer Paul W.S. Anderson, resulting in several heated arguments. The disputes were so intense that those present feared the conflicts might escalate into physical fights. The pressure from the studio and the creative differences among the key players contributed to a difficult and volatile working environment, casting a shadow over the production process and the relationships among the crew and cast. Peck and Paul were known for their confrontational nature, but there was one person they truly feared: Christopherson, a former Army airborne ranger. The fear was real, as they genuinely worried that Christopherson could whip their butts if things got out of hand. As rumors began to swirl around the studio about Peck and Paul drinking excessively and how it was impacting the film's production, a prank was pulled to play on these stories. A photograph was staged showing Peck and Paul lying on a stretcher, being fed whiskey through an 4 bottle while cast members carried them off. Whether this photo ever made it back to the studio remains uncertain, but knowing Peck and Paul, it likely did. This prank not only reflected the playful yet tense atmosphere on set, but also highlighted the complex dynamics among the cast and crew during the making of the film. It's a vivid glimpse into the behind-the-scenes life that surrounded the production, where humor and fear mixed in equal measure, shaping the experience of everyone involved.
Capture. You can have 500 now.
Well, I aim to bring the...
This film was caught in a troubled production cycle due to MGM's decision to rush its release. The studio head insisted on cutting several sequences that he found objectionable, despite strong opposition from both Peck and Paul, who fought to keep those parts intact. Their efforts, however, proved futile as the final version was altered against their wishes. The rushed release format ultimately harmed the film's chances at the box office, leading to a disappointing performance. The editing process, driven by the studio's demands, mangled the movie's original vision and disrupted its narrative flow, which contributed to its lack of success. This situation highlights the tension between creative teams and studio executives, especially when commercial pressures override artistic intentions, resulting in a compromised film that failed to resonate with audiences as intended.
Yeah, do me up good this time, Giuseppe. And leave the...
Fortunately, a single copy of the uncut version of the 1973 film survived despite efforts by James Aubrey's censors to destroy it. This copy was stolen from the projection booth in the screen test room, preserving the movie in its original form. This allowed audiences to experience the film in its full, unedited state, maintaining the vision of Peck and Paul. Without this stolen copy, the uncut version might have been lost forever, depriving viewers of the complete narrative an artistic expression intended by the filmmakers. The existence of this copy has ensured that the film remains accessible in its original form for future generations to appreciate. This uncensored version of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid offers a rare glimpse into a darker, more complex portrayal of the legendary figures, revealing the raw emotions and moral ambiguity that define their relationship. The stolen print not only preserves scenes lost to censorship, but also enriches the storytelling with moments that deepen our understanding of the characters' struggles and the harshness of the Old West. The film's gritty atmosphere, underscored by a haunting soundtrack and evocative cinematography, immerses viewers in a world where loyalty, betrayal, and survival collide. This version challenges the polished narratives often seen in westerns, presenting a more honest and vivid portrait that captures both the brutality and fleeting humanity of its characters. By experiencing this uncut edition, audiences gain a fuller appreciation of Peckinpah's vision and the film's place as a revisionist western that refuses to shy away from the complexities of its story.
Sheriff, tell me something. Why did you ride all the way out here?
Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid presents a distinctive take on the well-trodden story of the legendary outlaw and the man who pursues him. The film benefits from a strong cast, with James Coburn portraying Pat Garrett as a determined sheriff, and Chris Christopherson embodying Billy the Kid with a blend of rudeness and a certain joyful recklessness. While some critics feel Christopherson was somewhat old for the role, and Coburn even older to convincingly be a friend of Billy, their performances nonetheless anchor the narrative in a compelling way. Bob Dylan's involvement adds a unique layer to the movie, both through his musical contributions and his presence in the background. His soundtrack, especially the iconic Knockin' on Heaven's Door, remains one of the film's standout features and has achieved enduring popularity beyond the movie itself. Dylan's acting, however, has been met with mixed reactions. Some perceive him as lacking in performance skill, which contributes to a sense of meandering in parts of the film. Director Sam Peckinpah's approach to the Western genre is evident in the film's revisionist tone, marked by bursts of violence that underscore the ruthless reality of the era. The film does not shy away from the harshness of the outlaw life, depicting scenes where men are shot in the back, emphasizing the absence of traditional honor among these characters. Cinematographically, the film offers moments of beauty and evocative imagery, such as the poignant scene of Slim Pickens' sheriff character being shot, while Dylan's haunting song plays, heightening the emotional impact. While the film's pacing and some casting choices have drawn criticism, its atmospheric qualities, striking visuals, and memorable soundtrack contribute to a unique cinematic experience. It captures the tension between friendship and duty, charm and ruthlessness, and the inevitable passage of time catching up with legends. For viewers interested in a western that blends traditional storytelling with a more somber, reflective tone, and for fans of Dylan's music, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid remains a film worth exploring. As the final scenes of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid fade, the story on screen may have ended, but the real drama behind the camera is just beginning to unfold. What became of the actors who brought these legendary figures to life? Their paths after the film reveal surprising twists and turns that echo the intensity of the movie itself. From unexpected career shifts to personal struggles and triumphs, the cast journeys offer a compelling glimpse into the world beyond the Wild West. Stay with us as we delve into the lives of these iconic performers, uncovering stories that are as captivating as the film they starred in. This bonus segment promises to shed new light on the legacy of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, revealing the human stories behind the legend. Dub Taylor's portrayal of Josh in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid added a grounded, rugged presence to the tense narrative. His character, though not the lead, brought a layer of authenticity to the Old West atmosphere, embodying the weary, weathered men who inhabited that harsh landscape. After this role, Taylor's career continued steadily, marked by numerous supporting roles in westerns and comedies alike, showcasing his versatility. Beyond his screen work, Taylor's life was shadowed by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism that intermittently derailed his career. Despite these hardships, he maintained a reputation as a reliable character actor, respected by peers for his professionalism. Taylor's private life was guarded, but it is known that he faced health challenges later in life, quietly retreating from the spotlight. The last public records indicate he lived away from Hollywood's glare, leaving a legacy defined more by his craft than by scandal. His story remains one of perseverance beneath a tough exterior, a man shaped by the very grit he portrayed on screen.
Feels like times have changed.
Elisha Cook Jr.'s portrayal of Cody in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid stands out for its subtlety and eerie calmness. His character, marked by a quiet menace, fits perfectly into the film's dark and gritty atmosphere. Cook's ability to convey vulnerability and threat in equal measure made Cody a memorable figure despite limited screen time. After this role, Cook's career continued with steady work in film and television, often cast as a nervous or weak-willed character, drawing on his distinctive, almost haunted presence. Off-screen, Cook's life was shadowed by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism and financial difficulties that plagued him through much of his later years. He was also involved in several legal disputes, which added to the turbulent aura surrounding him. Despite these hardships, Cook remained respected for his craft and dedication to acting. His later years were quieter, with fewer roles, and he lived a relatively private life until his death in 1995. No significant public information about his final days has surfaced, leaving the last chapter of his life as enigmatic as many of the characters he portrayed.
See ahora, or I won't be here when you get back.
Jack Elam's portrayal of Alamosa Bill in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid captured audiences with his distinctive look and unsettling presence. Elam, known for his roles in westerns, brought a layer of complexity to Alamosa Bill, who served as a menacing presence in a turbulent time. His rugged face and piercing gaze hinted at a life filled with grit, embodying the lawless spirit of the Old West. Outside of his work in film, Elam faced significant personal challenges. He battled severe vision problems that would impact his career, leading him to pursue roles that played to his strengths. Off-screen, Elam lived through difficult times, including a tumultuous marriage to his first wife, with whom he had 2 children. After their divorce, he would marry again, but this second marriage was also rocky, reflecting the struggles he encountered in maintaining stability in his personal life. While Elam became a beloved figure in Hollywood, his life was not without scandals. Reports suggested he was involved in heated disputes over financial matters and faced issues with anxiety, which could be traced to the pressures of fame. In later years, he distanced himself from Hollywood glitz, preferring a quieter life that kept him out of the spotlight. He eventually found some peace in his later years, though his legacy remains intertwined with the troubled themes he often portrayed. As of the latest known information, Jack Elam passed away in 2003, leaving behind a complex and multifaceted legacy. Though he faced numerous shadows throughout his life, his striking performances and unforgettable roles continue to resonate with audiences and reflect the deeper struggles of a man living in a world of moral ambiguity.
What ladies you have hosting for you nowadays?
Barry Sullivan's portrayal of Chisholm in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid presents a complex character steeped in the gritty reality of the West. As Chisholm, Sullivan embodies a powerful rancher caught in the crossfire of law and lawlessness, showcasing a man both revered and feared. His performance adds a haunting depth to a story rife with betrayal and moral ambiguity, revealing the struggles of a man navigating a turbulent time. Sullivan's career spanned several decades, beginning in the 1940s and encompassing various roles in film and television. He appeared in numerous westerns, gaining a reputation for his commanding presence. Beyond his work, Sullivan faced personal hardships. He experienced the trauma of personal loss, including a devastating divorce that left him emotionally scarred. There were rumors of substance abuse, lurking shadows over his public persona. In his later years, Sullivan faded from the spotlight, but his impact lingered. He passed away in 1994, leaving behind a legacy marked by his striking performances and the darker, more troubled aspects of his life. His story remains one of both triumph and tragedy, a testament to the complexities of a life lived amidst the harsh realities of fame and fortune. R.G. Armstrong's portrayal of Ollinger in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid stands out for its quiet menace and layered intensity. Ollinger is a figure who moves through the film's dusty landscape with a weighty presence, embodying the harsh realities of the Old West. Armstrong's ability to convey a man hardened by life's unforgiving nature added depth to a role that might have otherwise been overlooked. His performance was marked by a brooding stillness, hinting at untold stories beneath the surface. After the film, Armstrong continued a prolific career, often cast as stern authority figures or rugged characters in westerns and dramas. Despite his steady work, his life was shadowed by personal struggles. He faced bouts of depression and battled with the loneliness that often comes with a career in Hollywood's margins. Armstrong was known for his reclusive tendencies, rarely seeking the spotlight beyond his roles. This distance from the public eye fueled rumors and speculation, but he remained an enigmatic figure, refusing to discuss his private life openly. In the late years, Armstrong's appearances became sparse, and he withdrew further from the industry. Reports of health issues surfaced, though details remained scarce. The mystery of his later life only deepened the aura surrounding him as he faded quietly from public view. His legacy rests on his intense character work and the shadowy mystique that followed him off-screen. The last known information places him living a secluded life, away from the noise of Hollywood, a fitting end to a man who thrived in the shadows. Harry Dean Stanton's portrayal of Luke in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid added a subtle but crucial layer to the movie's gritty atmosphere. His character, marked by quiet menace and a weary toughness, reflected Stanton's ability to embody complex, often shadowy figures. After this role, Stanton's career remained deeply rooted in supporting parts that showcased his knack for playing outsiders and loners, often in westerns or crime dramas. Despite a steady stream of work, his life was not without struggle. He faced personal hardships, including battles with alcoholism that he openly acknowledged later in life, which at times threatened his career. Stanton also endured the loss of close friends and family, events that left a lasting mark on his somber screen presence. He never sought the spotlight but earned cult status among cinephiles for his authenticity and depth. His later years saw a resurgence with roles in films like Paris, Texas, where his quiet intensity was revered. Harry Dean Stanton passed away in 2017, leaving behind a legacy wrapped in mystery and respect, a figure who seemed to embody the very shadows he portrayed. In Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Bob Dylan took on the enigmatic role of Elias, a shadowy figure who moves through the film with a quiet but unsettling presence. This part stands out as one of Dylan's rare ventures into acting, blending his mystique as a musician with a character that feels almost like a ghost from the Old West, elusive and hard to pin down. After the film, Dylan's career continued to defy easy categorization. He released albums that challenged musical norms and stirred controversy, such as The Electric Shift that alienated some fans but expanded his artistic reach. His personal life was marked by periods of isolation and public scrutiny, including a near-fatal motorcycle accident in 1966 that fueled rumors about his fate and contributed to his reclusive image. Dylan's relationships, including his marriage to Sarah Lowndes and their eventual divorce, were often turbulent and played out under the public eye. Despite these challenges, he remained a towering figure in music and culture. In recent years, Dylan has maintained a low profile, occasionally releasing new work and touring, yet he shrouds much of his life in silence, preserving the mystery that has surrounded him for decades. His last known public activities include his Nobel Prize in Literature acceptance and ongoing influence on artists worldwide, but he offers little beyond his art to the world, leaving his personal story as enigmatic as ever. Jack Dodson's portrayal of Howland in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid was marked by a quiet intensity that added depth to the film's gritty atmosphere. Howland, a minor but pivotal character, was brought to life through Dodson's subtle yet commanding presence, embodying the shadowy figures that populate the edges of the Old West narrative. Following this role, Dodson's career shifted primarily to television, where he became a familiar face in the 1970s and 1980s, notably in sitcoms and dramas. His work on shows like The Andy Griffith Show brought him steady recognition, but his career was not without struggles. Dodson faced the challenge of typecasting, often relegated to character roles that limited his range. On a personal level, reports suggest he battled with health issues later in life, though he kept his private affairs largely out of the spotlight. There were no widely publicized scandals, but his life carried a quiet melancholy, reflective of many character actors whose names remain less known despite significant contributions. The last known details about Dodson indicate he lived a relatively private life until his passing, leaving behind a legacy of nuanced performances that continue to resonate in the shadows of classic American cinema and television.
It's been a long year.
Not now.
My people don't talk to me.
Katie Jurato's role as Mistress Baker in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid marked a subtle but powerful presence in the 1973 film. Her character, though not central, added a layer of depth and authenticity to the gritty Western world. Jurato's performance carried a quiet strength, reflecting her ability to convey complex emotions with minimal dialogue. After this film, her career faced turbulence. Once a trailblazer in Hollywood as one of the first Mexican actresses to break into American cinema, she encountered typecasting and dwindling roles. Off-screen, her life was shadowed by personal struggles, including a troubled marriage and battles with alcoholism. Jurato's fierce independence often put her at odds with the industry's expectations, leading to periods of isolation. Despite these hardships, she remained a respected figure in Mexican cinema, earning accolades late in life. The last known reports indicate she lived quietly in Mexico until her death in 2002, leaving behind a legacy marked by resilience and a haunting mystique.
Would some of you...
Gene Evans portrayed Mr. Horrell in the 1973 film Pat Garrett, and Billy the Kid, bringing a rugged and stoic presence to the role. His performance was marked by a quiet intensity, fitting the dark and gritty tone of the movie. After this role, Evans continued his career mostly in character roles across film and television, often cast as tough, authoritative figures. Despite a steady career, his life was shadowed by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism that affected both his health and professional opportunities. Evans faced challenges adapting to changing industry demands as westerns waned in popularity. His private life remained largely out of the spotlight, but rumors of strained relationships and financial difficulties surfaced intermittently. Toward the end of his life, information grew scarce, with no major public appearances or projects. The last known details suggest he lived quietly away from the public eye, leaving a legacy marked by memorable roles and a life touched by hardship and resilience.
Pat, you son of a bitch. Sweet Jesus, I repent.
Leave off, Bobby!
James Coburn's portrayal of Pat Garrett in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid stands out as a brooding, complex figure haunted by inevitability and loss. Coburn brought a quiet intensity to the role, embodying Garrett's internal conflict between duty and friendship with a restrained but palpable tension. This performance marked a significant moment in Coburn's career, showcasing his ability to convey deep emotional layers beneath a rugged exterior. Following this role, Coburn's career continued with a mix of critical acclaim and personal struggles. He faced serious health challenges, including a near-fatal stroke in 1999, which left him partially paralyzed and forced a long recovery. Despite this, he made a remarkable comeback, earning an Academy Award for his supporting role in Affliction in 1998, a testament to his resilience and talent. Coburn's life was also marked by bouts of depression and battles with addiction, struggles that added a shadow to his public persona. Known for his sharp wit and off-screen charm, he remained a beloved figure in Hollywood until his death in 2002. His legacy is that of a tough, enigmatic actor who lived through and portrayed the darker edges of human experience with authenticity.
Boy around?
Boy?
Bruce Dern's role as the deputy sheriff in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid marked a notable moment in his career, showcasing his ability to embody a cold, authoritative figure with a quiet menace. His portrayal was subtle, yet chilling, fitting perfectly into the film's gritty and somber tone. This part allowed Dern to reinforce his niche as a character actor often cast in morally ambiguous or villainous roles. Following this film, Dern's career continued with a mix of critical acclaim and personal turbulence. He struggled with substance abuse issues, which affected his work and personal relationships. Despite these challenges, he remained a persistent figure in Hollywood, known for his intense dedication to his craft. His performances in later years, including in movies like Coming Home and The Hateful Eight, earned him award nominations and respect from peers. On a personal level, Dern faced hardships such as his son's health battles and his own brushes with depression. These experiences added layers of complexity to his public persona, giving him a reputation as a man who had endured much behind the scenes. In recent years, Dern has kept a low profile, but continues to act selectively, maintaining a presence in the film industry while avoiding the spotlight. The last known updates indicate that Bruce Dern remains engaged with acting, though he is more private about his life now, focusing on his health and family. His legacy is that of a resilient actor who transformed personal struggles into compelling performances.
Jesus Christ.
Charles Martin Smith's portrayal of Baudry in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid is marked by a quiet intensity that captures the ruthless loyalty and tragic fate of the character. Smith's Baudry is a figure caught between friendship and the harsh demands of law and order, embodying the moral ambiguity of the Old West. After this role, Smith's career unfolded with a steady focus on character-driven parts, often in films that explored complex human emotions and darker themes. Beyond acting, Smith faced personal challenges including struggles with the pressures of Hollywood and maintaining privacy in an industry hungry for scandal. Despite no major public controversies, his life was shadowed by the typical isolation that can come with long-term creative work, compounded by a brief but difficult battle with depression in the late 1980s. Over the years, Smith also shifted into directing and writing, seeking control over storytelling and a quieter existence away from the spotlight. The last known updates place him quietly involved in smaller independent projects and mentoring young actors, maintaining a low public profile that adds to the enigmatic aura surrounding him. His story is one of steady resilience amid the often unforgiving world of film. Paul Fick's portrayal of Maxwell in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid adds a layer of quiet menace and gravitas. His character, though not the centerpiece, anchors the film's uneasy tension with a presence that hints at deeper conflicts beneath the surface. Fick's voice, weathered and deliberate, carries the weight of a man who has seen too much and trusts too little, embodying the film's dark, brooding atmosphere. After this role, Fick's career continued steadily, but never soared to major stardom. Known primarily for his prolific work in westerns and television, he often played rugged authority figures or wise mentors. Behind the scenes, his life was marked by personal struggles, including battles with health issues and the challenge of typecasting in an industry that prized youth and glamour over seasoned talent. There were whispers of financial difficulties late in his life, a stark contrast to his on-screen authority. Fick's private life remained largely out of the spotlight, but those close to him hinted at a man burdened by loneliness and the fading relevance of his career. His final years were spent away from the camera, quietly fading into obscurity. The last known details suggest he passed away in relative solitude, leaving behind a legacy of steadfast character work rather than headline-making fame. His story is one of a steady hand in a turbulent industry, a figure who embodied the shadows of the Old West both on and off screen. Chill Wills portrayed Lemuel in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, delivering a performance marked by his distinctive gravelly voice and understated presence. His character added a layer of depth and authenticity to the film's gritty atmosphere, embodying the quiet strength and resilience often found in the Old West. After this role, Will's career continued with various supporting parts in both film and television, though none matched the prominence of his earlier successes. Beyond his acting, his life was shadowed by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism that affected both his health and professional reliability. Wills faced financial difficulties later in life, compounded by a decline in offers as Hollywood's tastes shifted. Despite these hardships, he remained a respected figure among Western genre enthusiasts. His final years were marked by relative obscurity, with little public information available. Chill Wills passed away in 1978, leaving behind a legacy tinged with both the rugged charm of his roles and the quiet tragedy of his personal decline.
Who's that?
Jason Robards portrayed Governor Wallace in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid with a commanding presence that lent gravitas to the film's political backdrop. His portrayal was marked by a subtle intensity, capturing the complexities of a man caught between law and personal ambition. Robards brought a depth to the role that hinted at the darker undercurrents of power and corruption without overt exposition. After this film, his career continued with notable performances in theater and cinema, earning him 2 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor. Despite professional success, Robards faced personal hardships, including a long struggle with alcoholism that affected his health and relationships. His life was marked by a series of ups and downs, including a publicized battle with addiction that he eventually overcame. Later years saw him retreat somewhat from the spotlight, focusing on stage work and voice acting. He passed away in 2000, leaving behind a legacy of intense, nuanced performances. His life story remains a blend of artistic triumph and personal struggle, reflecting the darker shades of a complex human being.
Goddamn Chisholm! How do you know he was...
Sam Peckinpah's portrayal of Will in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid is a brief but intense glimpse into his complex persona. Will is a shadowy figure, embodying the rough edges and moral ambiguity Peckinpah often explored in his work. After this role, Peckinpah's life and career spiraled into a turbulent mix of creative brilliance and personal chaos. Known primarily as a groundbreaking director, Peckinpah struggled with alcoholism and drug abuse, which frequently disrupted his professional relationships and projects. His films, famous for their graphic violence and anti-hero themes, often mirrored his own inner battles. Peckinpah faced several public scandals, including clashes with studios and censorship issues, which led to a decline in his career during the late 1970s and 1980s. Despite these setbacks, he maintained a cult following, influencing future filmmakers with his raw storytelling style. His later years were marked by declining health and isolation, yet he continued to work sporadically until his death in 1984. The last known details paint a portrait of a man haunted by his demons, but fiercely committed to his artistic vision.
Tell Mrs. Garrett that I'm going to be home for dinner. And then I want you to stampede like over to the courthouse, find...
L.Q. Jones' portrayal of Black Harris in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid captures a shadowy, rough-edged figure whose presence lingers beyond his screen time. His character embodies the gritty lawlessness of the Old West, a man shaped by violence and survival, mirroring the darker themes of the film itself. After this role, Jones' career unfolded with a steady stream of parts often steeped in Western and tough guy archetypes, yet his life off-screen was marked by complexity. A former Marine and football player, he transitioned into acting later than most, bringing a raw authenticity to his roles. His career was not without turbulence. Rumors of clashes with directors and a reputation for being difficult surfaced, hinting at a man struggling with the pressures of Hollywood. Personal hardships included bouts of isolation and a retreat from the limelight in later years, choosing instead a quieter life away from fame. Despite occasional returns to acting, his presence grew more elusive. The last known details place him living in relative seclusion, with little public activity, preserving an air of mystery that suits the enigmatic aura he projected on screen. Rutanya Alda's portrayal of Ruthie Lee in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid marked a subtle but memorable moment in her early career. Her character, though not central to the film's main narrative, carried a quiet strength and resilience that Alda conveyed with a haunting presence. This role foreshadowed the complexity she would bring to her later performances. After this film, Alda's career took a winding path marked by both steady work and personal challenges. She often found herself cast in supporting roles, notably in horror and thriller genres, which showcased her ability to evoke vulnerability and tension. Off-screen, Alda faced significant hardships, including the tragic loss of her husband, actor Dennis Patrick, which deeply affected her personal life. Despite these struggles, she maintained a low public profile, rarely engaging with the media or public controversies. Her life has been marked by a quiet perseverance rather than scandal, a contrast to many of her contemporaries. The last known updates indicate she continues to live away from the spotlight, occasionally participating in interviews or retrospectives about her career, preserving her enigmatic aura.
I heard God's fast. I have to go up in front of him myself before I bet on him.
Chris Christopherson's portrayal of Billy the Kid in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid marked a defining moment in his career, embodying a restless outlaw caught between legend and reality. His performance was raw and haunting, capturing the dark edge beneath the myth. After the film, Kristofferson's life unfolded with a mix of artistic triumphs and personal struggles. He became a celebrated singer-songwriter, penning classics like M.A. and Bobby McGee, but his career was shadowed by battles with addiction and turbulent relationships. His marriage to Rita Coolidge ended amid publicized difficulties, and he faced health challenges, including a diagnosis of Lyme disease years later. Despite these hardships, Kristofferson remained a resilient figure in music and film, his work reflecting a life marked by both creativity and conflict. In recent years, he has largely stepped back from the spotlight, focusing on his family and quietly managing his health. His legacy endures as a symbol of rugged artistry and the price of fame. Richard Jekyll's portrayal of Sheriff Kip McKinney in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid stands out as a quietly intense performance, embodying the harshness and moral ambiguity of law enforcement in the Old West. His character, a figure of authority caught in the tangled loyalties and violence of the era, reflected Jekyll's ability to convey toughness laced with inner conflict. After this role, Jekyll continued to work steadily in film and television, often cast as a rugged, no-nonsense character. His career spanned over 5 decades, marked by a gritty realism that made him a reliable character actor rather than a leading man. Off-screen, Jekyll's life was shadowed by struggles typical of many Hollywood actors of his generation. He faced personal hardships, including battles with alcoholism that affected his health and career opportunities. Despite these challenges, he maintained a steady presence in the industry, respected for his professionalism. There were no major scandals, but his private life remained guarded, adding to the aura of mystery surrounding him. Toward the end of his life, Jekyll's health declined, but he continued to act sporadically, demonstrating a commitment to his craft until his death in 1997. His legacy is that of a character actor who brought depth and authenticity to every role, with Sheriff Kip McKinney standing as a memorable example of his skill. Slim Pickens brought a rugged authenticity to the role of Sheriff Cullen Baker in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. His portrayal was marked by a stoic toughness, embodying the harsh realities of law enforcement in the Old West. This role highlighted Pickens' ability to blend grit with a subtle, dark charisma, standing out even in a film crowded with iconic characters. After this performance, Pickens' career continued to evolve, though not without difficulty. Known for his distinctive voice and cowboy persona, he often found himself typecast, limiting the range of roles offered to him. Despite this, he maintained a steady presence in westerns and comedies, notably his unforgettable ride in Dr. Strangelove. Off-screen, Pickens faced personal hardships, including struggles with health and the pressures of Hollywood's changing landscape. His life was marked by a quiet resilience, navigating the gap between fame and obscurity. In later years, Pickens kept a low profile, retreating from the spotlight. Reports suggest he lived modestly, away from the glitz, until his death in 1983. His legacy, though shadowed by the challenges he endured, remains that of a true American character actor whose performances still resonate.
Speak to Mr. Garrett.
John Beck's portrayal of Poe in the 1973 film Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid stands out for its subtle intensity and enigmatic presence. Beck infused Poe with a quiet menace, a shadowy figure whose motives and loyalties remain ambiguous, adding depth to the film's grim atmosphere. This role, though not the centerpiece of the movie, showcased Beck's ability to create a layered character through minimal dialogue and expressive stillness. After this performance, Beck's career took a complex turn. He worked steadily in television and film, often cast in roles that echoed the brooding, troubled figures he portrayed as Poe. Off-screen, Beck's life was marked by struggles with addiction and personal turmoil, which at times threatened to derail his career. Scandals related to substance abuse surfaced in the late 1970s, casting a dark shadow over his professional achievements. Despite these challenges, he maintained a loyal following and continued acting sporadically into the 1990s. His later years were quieter, with few public appearances or updates. The last known information suggests Beck lived a reclusive life, away from the spotlight, leaving a legacy wrapped in mystery and resilience.
Boy.
Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid captures a unique moment in film history, blending legendary figures with the real struggles behind the scenes. James Coburn, who played Pat Garrett, faced a career of ups and downs, often balancing between mainstream hits and personal challenges. Chris Christopherson, as Billy the Kid, brought a raw edge shaped by his own journey from music to acting. Director Sam Peckinpah dealt with studio battles and health issues while trying to keep his vision intact. The film's haunting soundtrack by Bob Dylan added another layer, reflecting the era's shifting moods. Did you watch this movie growing up? What memories or stories does it bring back for you? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's keep the story alive together.
Anyways, I don't give a damn. Brought him in once, I